One of the things I get asked a lot about are some strategies of speaking strategies. What are some strategies for you when you're out there and doing your public speak? And this comes down to a lot of different rules that have come along the ways. One of them is the rule of fives, a way to create connections with your audience. So the idea is to scan five faces, hold those gazes for about 5 seconds, and then do this every 5 minutes. And again, it makes a connection with at least some of the people in the audience. Big one I think is really powerful is the power pause, which helps you land your message. And it's really about pausing for 3 seconds after key messages. And I think you extend this further in terms of it's about strategically pausing as you go and allowing people to think a little bit. And we've talked about that in previous videos in terms of how do you get a conversational presentation when it's really a one-sided conversation. And I think the power pause really helps you do that. We also talk a lot about threes and patterns of threes. And one of the things is a three-part opening where you can allows you to start strong in your presentation. You can do things like hook with a question, you can share stories, you state a promise, connecting those things together just to create that strong start to what you're going to talk about. And then when you're talking, the idea of palms up generally creates trust because open palms mean trustworthiness versus things like finger pointing, which really leads to some confrontational types of messages as you're presenting. One big question is really about how do you relax? What helps you relax? And the 90-second resets. If you're feeling nervous, excuse yourself for that nervousness first. And then things like 90 seconds of deep breathing just helps to reset what you're doing as you go along. We go back to the threes thing, and the rule of threes makes information stick better. So structure key points in threes. That's why we always see teams present three alternatives, those types of things, three decision criteria. Our brains love patterns and keep those patterns going through as you talk through the whole presentation. Also using 2-minute cycles to maintain that engagement, keep the audience engaged with these 2-minute cycles. They could be stories, they could be humor, but again, sort of break your presentation down into 2-minute cycles as you go through. They don't have to be exactly 2 minutes, but keeping that in mind in terms of 2 minutes seems to be a key item in terms of maintaining that engagement with your audience. The lighthouse effect. So makes you look more natural, makes it feel more structured as you go through. And it's the idea of rotating eye contact between anchor points around the room. And so just like a lighthouse, you're looking through the audience, you're looking at different parts of the audience. I think this is, again, a really important thing and something that I do often in the classroom. Generally, really talk about my teams in terms of making sure that you're connecting with everybody in the room. A power pose, the idea of projecting confidence, feet shoulder width apart, hands relaxed at the side. Practice this. And one of the things I do in class, and we did this last August, I didn't do it, but my co-teaching colleague did, was we got students to practice the power pose. And I see my team members doing this all the time in terms of practicing the power pose since they're ready to go and do that presentation. The idea of circling back. Audience love connections, and I talk about this all the time in terms of linking pieces together, connecting all the pieces. So referencing early points later in your talk, creating that narrative thread, coming back to the beginning story and completing that story, completing the circle as you talk through. And then the last piece is to rehearse. If you can nail the start of the talk, it helps really in terms of confidence, all of those other pieces as you move through the rest of the presentation. And I talk about this a lot with my teams in terms of practicing your opening, rehearsing it in your head, talking out loud, getting that opening nailed down. I think when you do that, it really helps to bring the rest of the pieces together and thinking about what's going to happen next, what I'm going to say next, etc. But it gives you the ability to, I think, be a little bit more comfortable, and then that comfort will just breeds more comfort as you move through the rest of the presentation. Join us in transforming the lives of young aspiring professionals by supporting our podcast, the Discover Your Mad Skills Toolkit YouTube channel, and our LinkedIn newsletter at buymeacoffee.com/treadsoftly or by scanning the QR code below. Your contributions directly fuel our mission to equip these individuals with the vital mad skills that today's employers demand. Together, we can make a significant impact on their career to success.